Hi, Aisling. Happy to have you again in Private Kitchen. Talking about the Buccaneers, what can you tell a bit about the story and then how you start approaching it? What were the ideas, the musical ideas, and how did? Because I also already said, it seems to me that series is totally different from scoring for a single film. It's a different process. So maybe you can
Yeah,
add, talk a bit about that.
100%. For both of us, this was the first drama series
Mhm.
that we were scoring. So I was very happy that we were doing it together, for sure. I think both of us were very grateful that we were working as a team. And it was, I mean, so the story itself, it's five girlfriends, American women, who come over from the US. It's set in the 1870s.
Mhm.
So it's a period drama. Come over to the UK to find husbands. Now, the women are looking for titles and the men are looking for money. And all of these women have money. And UK society is kind of crumbling a little bit, trying to hang on to these rich American ladies. But these ladies, meanwhile, have no real interests in anything other than their own friends and being independent, strong women. And so there's all these different narratives that are also very modern in the way that it's written and directed and um, produced, all the comical moments in it. It's really a very modern series, and they wanted it to translate to young women and young men today, also,
Mhm.
despite being set in the 1870s. So in itself, we were immediately drawn to the story just because it was so fun, and it's really about sisterhood. It's about intergenerational relationships between mothers, daughters, grandmothers, fathers and daughters, like all these different um dynamics. There's also many different subjects on it that touch on far more serious topics like sexual assault, domestic abuse, um, different themes that kind of, go through the whole arc of the series.
Mhm.
I think for us, the challenge was just in a way to really keep it about the voice of the women in
Mhm.
this series and to tell it through their eyes. And the whole team on the Buccaneers is also predominantly female. So the directors, the producers, the writers, all of the music that is in it as well. We were very lucky to work together with this producer and amazing artist Stella Moscava, who's the drummer of Warpaint,
Mhm.
which is a fantastic band. And she was working in LA together with all sorts of artists to write bespoke contemporary songs for the series. And so
Okay.
we were kind of the bridge between these songs
Mhm.
and the rest of the series and the score. So it was a complex project for sure because we were kind of coming in and out. I'll also thinks of like Taylor Swift and Daniel Ponder and all these different sound worlds that were much more like punk rock and
Uh-huh.
contemporary than what we were bringing to the table. It was interesting.
And do you score really music for each episode, or do you create a library which the editors can take material out, or is it really uh, made for every episode, specific made
Yeah,
for
it
the
was
last?
really to picture
Okay,
every
okay,
episode. Yeah, and then I guess this was the difference also between writing for episodic TV series
yeah,
versus a film is that it certainly feels like you're doing 8 films at the
yeah.
same time, pretty much, rather than so we were going through it chronologically, and there's always like a dense middle point where you're kind of doing final mixes on episode 1 and 2. You're doing recordings for 3 and 4. You're doing edits on 5 and 6 and initial demos on 7 and 8, and everything is coming at the same time. And at the beginning and tail end of it, it's a lot calmer and more concise. But it's a lot to juggle for sure. So like we also took away from it that we will definitely have more assistance on season 2 than we did for season 1.
I think you're extraordinary. Truly. And on the beach, the two of us had this. Well, it felt perhaps like you felt it too. Maybe. And if we agreed that we might always swim in the sea, hiding from life's nonsense, not caring what anyone else thinks. Might you do me the honor of being my wife?
I've enjoyed, Miss St. George, the opportunity of making your acquaintance these past weeks. I've long waited to meet someone who might put me in a marrying frame of mind. Might you agree to be my wife?
Do you mean it?
I mean it entirely.
Then yes.
Yes.
I agree. I quite agree. It's fine. You will ask me again when Mother's nearby to hear, won't you?
Congratulations.
And I'm getting married!
But I guess you also reuse material because, isn't that the case? Because I can imagine that certain themes or sounds that you use in episode 1, they come back throughout through the series.
100%. Yeah. We had certain themes that, of course, are reused and come back in different variations throughout the series. So very much so. That being said, it was never a case of simply reusing it as it was written. Most of the time, there might be a couple of instances where that worked, but for the most part, because you are writing, you're writing to a drama, so you need it to really follow the story. It was impossible to just drop something in and go, done. That would have been amazing. But yes, there were, of course, over time we established, okay, this is clearly the theme of this love story. This is the theme of this family. This is the theme of this house. And so then it becomes easier to lay it out the more you progress because you know, okay, this is where we should probably bring that theme back in. Yeah.
And is this also the case when you start series 2, I understood? Then you can also reuse material from the first series, or you have to start all over again? Do you know this already?
No, I don't know that yet. So I can't say anything about series 2 yet. But of course, we want every single project, whether it's a sequel or not, to be as unique and original in its own right. So I'm sure that we will be writing a lot of new stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Can we have a look at a certain scene or sequence?
I suggest we could take a look to the very finals of the series, where really all of the different themes of the story so far is starting to come together, and you see these 5 ladies in the sisterhood and how strong they are together, and they're leading up to somebody's wedding. There's lots of different stories coming to their climax. And for us, it was an opportunity, but also a huge challenge to score something that wouldn't get tiresome to the ear, that left enough space for all the dialogue in between, that follows the drama, that ties together all these different stories and themes. And I think it's a good example of how the modern and more classic sound worlds come together, because it brings together themes in the strings. There's electronics that kind of bubble underneath and also hint at other themes throughout the series. And then you've got just the sisterhood of the girls and the fierceness and the boldness. And that was really important throughout this series, was to also show these women in quite a raw form. We didn't want it to be like, oh, it's a period drama and these women are wearing all these beautiful princess dresses. So the music should all be very, elegant and polite. And we kind of wanted to show like, no, these are young women, who also have raw emotional experiences. Not everything's pretty. Some of it is ugly. Some of it is, not in its final form yet. And they're evolving as human beings. And so there's distorted guitar, there's raw drums, there's a lot of kind of heart and soul in it, where this all comes together to show them for what they are.
So it's not particularly what you might call period music, as I hear it now.
No. And I think...
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and that was something that was also quite clear from the start. That was the intention of Apple and the creators of the series, was that they really wanted to create something that was modern and different and against the expectations of period drama. There's no diegetic music in this series, pretty much. So everything is, even when they are dancing a waltz, when they're, anything is happening in a ballroom, it's all score or it's a song. Yeah, it's all coming in as non-diegetic. It's interesting. It was a huge discussion also, between the team of like, how are we going to approach this? Is it going to work? But we steered clear of going too classical and too period drama exactly for that reason. And also because we felt, well, that doesn't reflect the personality of these bold, courageous, adventurous, mischievous women.
Yeah. Can you say something about the scene we're going to watch?
So the main character of the Buccaneers, or one of the main, is Nan, who you will see is about to get married in a church. And her sister is caught in a very abusive relationship that she wants to escape. So you see the 5 girls coming together to plan this escape and to help get her out of there safely. And so it exemplifies this sisterhood that, is kind of the main thread through this series. You see the mothers involved. You see the different relationships between mother and daughter, between mother of the bride and mother of the groom. You see, Christina Hendricks also features in this series, who is just incredible. So you see these different love stories. You see that Nan is actually in love with somebody else than who she is marrying. And so there were all these different threads that we needed to approach quite sensitively, whilst also being the big finale of the season and leaving the audience wanting more, hopefully. So it's a good example of how you have these big thematic string themes together with the more electronic, distorted guitars, bass, synthesizers, drums, all of that to show the courage and the boldness of these ladies.
Sounds quite interesting. Let's have a look at it.
This has all happened very fast for Nan, Your Grace. And she cares very deeply for Theo. Since the news of her father's indiscretion, she's had a lot of growing up to do. But she's really very young. Better, I'm sure you will agree, for both of them to avoid the suffering of a hollow marriage, a life sentence.
Nan, does Guy Thorpe make your heart sore?
Yes.
And your head spin?
Yes.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Of course. So I believe Nan is not coming.
Nan's a clever girl too, of course. She understands the severity of what Ginny's about to do. And a young girl running away from her husband, taking his unborn child.
A child?
She'd never make it. Could never happen. Nan and Jenny leaving together would be just two powerless young girls. But as a duchess, Nan has absolute power to protect her sister. Her whole family. I believe we've a wedding to attend.